Hello everyone, this is Jasmina, and in this video I'm going to talk about the Heaven Virtue star, and these are the instructions for its use and how to find it. So the Heaven Virtue star is basically a good all-around day to manifest for good luck and problem solving, just in general. It's fairly broad. It's not super focused like some of the other stars are. The Dragon Virtue is a stronger problem-solving star, but the Heaven Virtue can also be used pretty much equally as well, but it has a slightly different type of an energy than the Dragon Virtue. The energy is a little more balanced with the Heaven Virtue, and it's not as yang as the Dragon Virtue. So the Dragon Virtue is really best for solving problems with finance or solving problems that have a yang nature to them, whereas this can solve all kinds of problems. So it's a little more versatile. Now, the best days to use this star is a good yellow and black belt dates, with probably the precious light being the best, but any good yellow and black belt date is fine. And of course, the precious light, I mean, if you will see as we go along, the precious light doesn't occur every month with the pattern that the Heaven Virtue has. So oftentimes you're not going to be able to use the precious light. So here is the pattern for the Heaven Virtue. If we start with the rabbit month, we have an animal sign, then we have two elements, and then another animal sign, two elements, another animal, two elements, an animal, two elements, and we're back to the animal. So it's a very unusual one in the sense its pattern is quite different. Usually each month branch, sometime each year, is associated with either a certain element or a certain animal sign. Here there's a mix, and this may be why it's a little more versatile in that respect, is because it uses more things. It isn't so focused. Now you can find this information. This is a Chinese language website, as I'm finding I basically have to look at. And I've checked with others, and everybody agrees these are the Heaven Virtue days. So I'm confident about this being right, even though it is a little bit weird. So if we look at when does the precious light occur, well, it depends on the branch of the month, that is the animal sign. And so the rat and horse months, they're always be on ox day. And so if you look at that the last slide, you will actually see that sometimes these things don't match up. For example, I think the rat needed, actually I don't remember what the rat needs, but it's not the ox. So, and the horse also is not the ox. And if you noticed, it was the 4 cardinal directions that had animal signs associated with them. So it's kind of unusual in that sense. But you can have the precious light possible, not guaranteed, but possible, on tiger, snake, goat, monkey, and pig months. And those months are all months that are they're looking for an element. And the element is of the right polarity. That is for example, if it were to be this, let me see, the tiger month needs a yin element because the snake is yin, and that does occur. So this is how we know it's at least possible. There's no guarantee, but it's at least possible. So the green dragon days, you can have this overlap and being correct. That is, you'll have a really good day, a green dragon day on a Heaven Virtue day. And that's possible for ox, dragon, goat, rooster, and dog months. And again, these are all the rooster is a cardinal sign, and this is the one that does have it possible. and but the rabbit doesn't. So if you look here, we have the dragon and the dog. Here's the dragon and the dog, the goat and the ox. They have the same polarity. So these guys need a yang animal. These months need a yang animal back on the heaven virtue table. So it can happen. Again, there's no guarantee it will, but it can happen. So this is for gold chamber, and I'm going to go through all of these positive yellow and black belt values. I don't know what else to call them, but you can have the right combination on the ox, dragon, goat, and dog months. And this is for the Jade Hall. And you will see these months repeat. The snake, the tiger, the monkey, and the pig months have a possibility. This is for Bright Hall, and it's the same set of animal signs as for the previous one. And then finally, Managed Life is generally considered positive, but it's, let's say, the least positive. And I'm going to have to go back and change the yellow and black belt thing a little bit, because I've come to understand that actually Managed Life is considered positive. But it basically means that you need to look back, you need to look at your life and make sure you're doing things in moderation. So don't eat too much, don't drink too much, even don't exercise too much. Everything needs to be in more moderation. So this is why I say this is probably the least positive, because it requires you to really examine in your life and cut back on things that are overboard. And this could be too much work too. That is, this could be helping you come back to a better work-life balance. So it does have its real uses if your life is out of balance. And this has quite a few months possible. The ox, the tiger, the dragon, the goat, the monkey, and the dog months. This can happen. So this is a pretty useful one if you feel like your life is out of balance. So there are some months that simply don't have a good yellow and black belt day possible. It's because the way the yellow and black belt work, there are some animal signs that simply don't have a good combination on the right months for the heaven virtue. They still exist. They do have, that is, every animal sign for the day does have some months when it's good. But if you need to combine it also with the heaven virtue, there are months that will not have this combo of a good yellow and black belt and also a heaven virtue day. So here's an example. If we look at the horse month, the heaven virtue only falls on a pig day. But when we're talking about the precious light, and actually you can look at all of them, the horse month happens on an ox day. And this and basically you're never going to have a pig ox day. It's either a pig day or ox day, or it's one of the other 10 different animals. The day never overlaps. So the pig days during the horse month are guaranteed to have a negative yellow and black belt value. I've forgotten which one it is, but it's not positive. So this means you have to use other types of date selection to decide what is the best day to use during that month. And so this is a little more tricky. Of course, you usually have 2 to 3 dates every month that have a heaven virtue. Sometimes you can just skip a month. If it's not really urgent, if you wait till the next month, you usually find a good day. So the months that have this problem are the rabbit, the horse, and the rat. They just don't have the possibility of having a heaven virtue day on a day that has a good yellow and black belt formation. So these are the months that you have to take a little more care in, and you have to really look in detail what is good that on what other properties are good on that day. So the other properties that you're looking at will be the Dong Gong date, or its value, and the Black Rabbit value. And you can have, if you only have one of these being good, you want to also have a good day officer. But if both of these are good, you don't have to worry too much about the day officer. You want 2 out of these 3 things to be good. And if it's 3 out of 3, then it's definitely a good day to use. You know the yellow and black belt's going to be negative, but it's okay. And especially if you can get the 3 out of these 3 here. Now, I do caution a little bit of during the rabbit month, which this year has already passed, to be cautious about physical activities if you're trying to activate the heaven virtue, because this month, the rabbit month, has the white tiger as the yellow and black belt value, and that tends to lead to injuries. So during these months, if the conditions are right, you could consider activating with noise rather than physical activity. Or if the condition is right, you could also consider doing some sort of elemental thing. Now this year, it's a little tricky, or at least the first few months coming up from this video, I haven't seen a good time to use an elemental activation, but that may happen later this year. And of course, it varies every year and every month. So you have to know how to do this. And I have covered a lot of this, but I do cover it here too. Now, any day when the heaven virtue is present, my recommendation is you use the heavenly assistant hour. And I do have a separate video about it, and it really needs a separate video because it's complex enough. But that heavenly assistant hour will give you a subsector to be in. The heaven virtue does not have its own subsector. You could, if you wanted to, use that subsector that it is located in if you wanted to. That is, it's going to be in either an element or an animal sign. But in general, that's not how it's used. It is more, you find the right time of day and you use that sector. Now, but it's possible that the heavenly assistant hour has an annual affliction or perhaps a bad annual star. And if that is the case, it's better to use the best sector of your residence. Now, that takes a bit of work on your part, but if you know your house, you will know where your good sectors are that don't change. And then you can then add the annual star and see what goes on, and also the annual afflictions. So this will tell you in general what is the best sector of your house. It takes a little bit of work, but after doing it once or twice, you usually have a pretty good idea. Now, which one is the best sector of your house will depend on your flying star chart, your purple-white chart, and your Chi-Men charts. Well, actually, it's only one chart, but the purple-white does change every year, but it's possible to have a special formation that makes all stars timely, and that pattern will stay the same from year to year. So if you are lucky enough to have that, you don't have to worry about the purple-white. And if you have an activated flying star formation that makes all stars timely for all periods, that's also taken care of. So these 2 things you can do something about. It takes some work, but you can do something about it. The Chi-Men chart, there's no such thing as a special formation in the Chi-Men chart that makes all sectors good. So there are a few things you need to look at. You want to know where your death door is located. If you are trying to break a bad habit, using the death door sector is actually good. But otherwise, you tend to want to avoid really using the sector or being in that sector for very long periods of time. Certainly working in that sector is a bad idea, unless you're trying to break a bad habit. But so since this heaven virtue is good for many things, you can think about, okay, let's say I'm lucky enough, I don't have to worry about my flying stars. Let's just look at the Chi Min chart. If your problem is health, the best sector to look for is the one with the heart star. And if that is not with the death door, it's quite usable. If your health will be improved by breaking a bad habit, and you have the heart star and the death door, that would be okay to use, but only to break the bad habit. And then you're going to have to just use another good sector, probably the sector where your chief is located. And that would be for health. Now, if it's career related, especially money associated with career, then you look for your open door. And you don't really care too much what the other things are, because it has some effect, but you're really going for the door. So that's, again, open door for career. If you're running a business and it's money related, the problem you want the life door. And then finally, if it's relationship related, you are looking for the harmony spirit. But again, you don't want to do that with the death door unless you want to break up with the person. And that there are times when that can be quite useful. So you have to kind of know what's going on. Now, if you don't have one sector that has everything you want, your flying star chart has to do with outside opportunities. So if it's money related, it's usually outside opportunities. If you are having issues with your emotions and feeling sad and discouraged, actually the purple white, look for the best sector in the purple white chart. And if you're feeling unmotivated and want to suddenly want to quit your job, or you really are not satisfied with life, then you can look at the Chi Min charts. And you could use, usually the chief is the best for that, because the chief can help solve all kinds of problems. Now, if you could also instead use your, whatever your deity is, or your spirit, your guardian spirit is. That is also possible. So this gets a little tricky. And you have to have a good general understanding to know which is your best sector. And if you do not have a formation in the purple-white chart that gives you a special formation, then that changes every year. So it gets fairly tricky. But you can get help with this from people if you need this. Now, again, this day is best used for first manifestation and then activation by action. At least that's true this year, or at least these few coming months. And all the normal cautions about clash days and annual afflictions apply. You want to avoid activating on a clash day. And basically, that's a clash day for everybody in the family with their year animal, and also the month animal for the working adults. Now, you can manifest on a clash day, even other people's clash days. That's safe. It has a weakening effect, especially for them. And even if it's your own clash day, if it's otherwise a good day, I would still suggest using it for manifesting. It has a weakened effect, but it's better than nothing. So, but I'm only talking about manifestation here. Do not activate either with element or movement or noise or any of those type of things during a clash day, because activation can be harmful. Manifestation is always safe. And you want to avoid activating with elements or movements in subsectors with, of course, the annual afflictions or bad annual stars. Now, some of those bad annual stars are also annual afflictions, like the star 5, but the star 2 is, now that we're in period 9, is still a little up for grabs whether or not it's really negative. But this year, it definitely is a good idea to treat it as negative because where it's located. And the star 3 has to do with arguments, but if you live alone, the star 3 is fine. Star 7 often has to, it's often associated with robbery, and we're talking about the annual stars here. But it also is associated with communication. So if you need help with communication, you might consider a 7 okay. And again, this is easier if you live alone because sometimes that communication might not turn out the way you want it to when you live with others, especially if they have anything clashing in their chart. So again, this is always, it always takes some thinking before you do this. So that was a lot, but I'd like to thank you for watching. If you have comments or questions, you can either leave a comment or email me here. The trickiest thing, of course, of doing this is making sure that it's a good day and it's a good location in your house. And I do keep track of the annual afflictions for you, but you do have to, if you can't use that sector and you really need it and you need a specific day, you know, it's a real urgent thing, then it's going to take a lot more work. But that's just the way it is. So again, I'd like to thank you for watching.